Shalom friends, welcome to the Shiur in Mesillat Yesharim, The Path of the Just, written by the Ramchal, Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, 18th century, outstanding Kabbalist, authority in Musar, and a general authority in so many areas in Torah altogether. The Mesillat Yesharim, of course, a standard primer work in Musar, morals and ethics. We're learning how to grow as human beings and value what it is that we're required to do in the world, our duty and purpose in life. Last week, I'm Eliyahu Shir from Chesed Ve'emet, my site, www.lovingkindness.co. We're on chapter 5 this week. We're beginning a new chapter. Last week, we ended off chapter 4, which dealt with the concept of acquiring the first trait that we need to on our road to success, in ascending this ladder, in moving upwards in this path of life, growing in the right direction. And we learned about what we need to do in order to acquire the trait of watchfulness, of zehirut. There were certain things that we needed to think about in our lives, what the purpose of life was, we spoke about earlier, and how to realize that there's an obligation in life. Some of the things that we spoke about, as you recall, had some very strong, harsh remarks attached to them, concepts of reward and punishment. It sounds quite harsh. It almost sounds like we speak about the ideas of heaven and that other place and so on and so forth. And sometimes people even feel they really don't want to listen to it. Well, whatever it is, take it, listen to it, hear it, grow with it. Don't be too distracted with all of it that it leads you off the path. And instead, let's move ahead to this next chapter, which is going to tell us something even more powerful of how we can relate to what we've been learning from before. Now what we're discussing are factors that detract from the trait of watchfulness. What are the things that hold us back from being careful of what it is that we're supposed to do in the world? What's going to hold us back that we should be careful of so that we can get on and do what it is that we need to do? Chapter 5 begins. Hine, behold, mafsidei hamida hazot, the things that detract from this attribute of zehirut, of being careful, of being watchful. Don't do this, don't do that. There are certain blocks along the way, breaks. You have to be careful. Don't stumble over certain things, because if you stumble, you could fall and hurt yourself. This is the attribute of watchfulness. Be careful. Now, there are some things that hold us back from being careful. So, and the things that distance us from this attribute, there are three things. The first thing that will detract and prevent us from succeeding in acquiring this trait, this is the effort that we go through, the burden that we go through in worldly activities. Meaning to say, we all have things that we need to do in the world. There are different things that we need to do. Some things are more important than others. Others are a complete waste of time. Some things we could spend less time doing, even though we need to do it. Let us think of some examples. Everybody knows, for example, when it comes to worldly things, we all have to eat. We need breakfast. We need lunch. We need supper. We need to eat. And of course, as a result of that, we need to take care of our bodies and tend to the bathroom. We need to keep our bodies clean and shower. We need to do shopping so that we can have the things for our food, for our garments, whatever it is that we need. We need to shop for our garments. We need to wear our garments. We need to get dressed, put on our garments, take off our garments. We need to work. There's all sorts of things that we need to do in life. Some things we need to spend more time doing. Some things, if we're clever, we can spend less time doing and gain more time to do other things. But certainly, one of the things that will hold us back from attaining this particular quality of watchfulness, be careful, get onto the right path, is becoming overburdened with the activities that life gives us, that we forget what we've got to do. Hasheni, the second thing, haschok v'halatzon, laughter and levity and scoffing. The second thing that will prevent us from being successful in our journey in becoming greater people is too much laughter and scoffing. Everybody knows about that. Well, we're eating, aren't we? We're sitting and eating at the table. Isn't it a time to talk? Yes. Let us talk about so and so. Did you know what happened to so and so? Yes. Oh, I have a good joke to tell you. Ha ha ha. Very funny. Yes, that was fantastic. Ah, thank you for that lovely laugh. And I feel so much better now. Oh, did you hear about so and so? And do you know that I heard that and such and such? And by the time you finished with lunch, a whole hour was gone. Of course, you could have practically finished lunch in 10 minutes if you wanted to. But sometimes we become engaged because of the second factor that prevents us from moving forward in our lives. This is the aspect of laughter and an abundance of levity and scoffing at all sorts of things in life. You know why we do it? We want to be a part of society. We want to be a part of what everybody else is doing. God forbid that people should think I'm some sort of hermit, some sort of person who keeps myself away from everybody else. God forbid, what type of individual would I be then? I need to be a part of the crowd. The friends are going out to eat. I've got to go out with them. How do they go out to eat? They dress fine with the finest perfumes and deodorants possible. Put on the finest makeup if I'm a woman, or perhaps get my hair done in a fancy way with the latest do for the men. I don't know what it is, but spend the time preparing. All of this will detract us from the task at hand in serving God and in working on ourselves as human beings. We become so immersed in the laughter and the scoffing and the mockery of whatever it is in life that we speak about, that it prevents us from getting on with our lives and serving God and working on ourselves. Hashlishi, what's the third factor that will hold us back from reaching this goal so that we won't be able to be watchful people, be careful? That is simply bad company. So, schok and latzon is simple scoffing and mockery. The third aspect is bad company. Well, of course, once we involve ourselves in bad company, we can say goodbye to all that time that we're spending with the people who are the bad company. Says the Ramchal, let us speak about each one of them individually, how they affect us, and what we need to be careful about. Hine, behold, all of this effort that we go through in our daily activities. Already we spoke about these things above. Anybody who was listening to the previous shiurim will well know there are things that we simply need to attend to. Because while the person is burdened in all the matters of life that he is involved in, his thoughts will be completely bound up in the chains of the burden of the weight asher aleihim that is upon them. And therefore, he will not be able to give enough time. He will not be able to put in enough heart into what is practical. Let us just imagine this for a second. I gave an example in the previous shiur, which I once again return to because it again shows us the importance of understanding what is ikar, main thing, and what is tafel, the extra thing. Let us take, for example, the story of the prisoner. He gets put into a prison and they tie to him a ball and chain. Now, the ball and chain are really to prevent him from getting on and being able to, inverted commas, enjoy himself a little bit more in the prison that he's in. After all, some prisoners happen to have the ball and chain, and other prisoners do not have the ball and chain. The prisoners that do not have the ball and chain, they may engage in fun, like playing soccer outside. Sometimes when the prisoners are allowed outside, they can all engage in a soccer game, in a game of football, whatever it is that they're doing. But unfortunately, the fellow who for some odd reason was given an additional punishment of a ball and chain is stuck. He cannot run. He cannot even walk barely. He has to pick up the heavy weight and move slowly with it. It is an additional burden and a punishment for him. Anyway, meanwhile, the poor fellow has an additional burden. Not only is it that he can walk very slowly and he cannot engage in all the fancy, fun activities that all the other prisoners can do, but in order to stay healthy, because he has metal attached to his foot or wherever it is, and he has a chain with this ball, He must be careful that the metal is kept absolutely clean all the time. Because if the metal begins to rust and the water gets stuck into it, it could start to touch onto his skin, creating a blemish onto the skin. In fact, he could become quite unhealthy and sick as a result of that. And therefore, the guards know well, and they tell the prisoners that when we give you this ball and chain, it will not just be an imposition upon you. It will detract from your ability to move fast. But you will have to spend extra time every day cleaning your ball and chain. He says, for what? They tell him, well, unfortunately, you're in this situation and you're going to have to spend this time doing it. If you don't do it, you might find yourself sick later on. A normal person will know that the ball and chain is not what the prison is about. Even if you say he's in prison, the ball and chain is not what it's about. He still is entitled to engage in the activities in the prison like any other prisoner. But now he must spend extra time attending to this. It is not the goal of the prison to clean the ball and chain. The goal is to keep him in prison away from society in general and to do whatever is necessary to help him recover from whatever it is that he has done wrong and to learn how to behave in society in a better manner. But nevertheless, the ball and chain is an additional punishment. So too, when a person begins to engage in excess physical activities that he didn't really need to, it is no longer a blessing. It is a curse. He begins to clean the ball and the chain because he's so worried, maybe this, maybe that. It's an additional burden. And as a result of that, it diminishes from him the time that he could have to engage in the extramural activities that he really wants to engage in. What are the extramural activities? He needs to work on himself. He needs to grow as a human being. Says the Ramchal, what happens to this person is that when he becomes too involved in physical activities in this world, his thoughts will become bound up into the chains of the burden that is put upon him and put upon them, which means to say, it is like he is adding an additional ball and chain to himself to keep himself occupied so that he will be unable to attend to the things that he really wants to attend to. And as a result of the person being so engaged in cleaning the ball and chain all the time, he needs to wear a new garment every single day. It's not enough that he has 3 pairs of pants or 10 shirts, and they're all white, incidentally. He must have a white shirt, a green shirt, an orange shirt, and a pink shirt. He must have this type of pants and the other type of pants and another type. Even his socks must all be different. Some of them must have Mickey Mouse on them. Some of them have Donald Duck on. Some have stripes that go this direction. Some have stripes that go. And he has to know when he goes out with certain people, the Mickey Mouse socks are the ones that he will wear. When he goes out with somebody else, he wears the striped ones. When he goes out with somebody else, he wears the tie that has all sorts of shapes on it. And when he goes out with somebody else, he doesn't wear the tie. He rather wears the pink shirt. And every time he does something, he needs to think about all the things he has to do to attend to the meeting he's going to go to. Meanwhile, as he spends his hour preparing, the hour disappears and he has lost it forever. And he cannot engage in attending to the things that he needs to attend to that are important in life, which means what? Attending to his soul. He needs to think about his soul. He's so engaged in buying new garments all the time for the new occasions that he never has the time to sit back and think, what is life really all about? Do people really remember everything about what I wear? Ask your friends often or every now and again and say, do you remember what I was wearing last week on Tuesday when we met that time? Most people will say, no, I remember you were dressed quite smartly or whatever, but I have no idea. Well, was I wearing the grey suit or the blue suit or the brown suit? Which one was I wearing? I don't know. But didn't you care about it? No, he says. I saw you. You looked presentable. Fantastic. I wasn't really thinking about it. But we tend to think above that. We tend to think that people are going to watch every single move we make. They're going to think about every single garment that we wear. Oh, look at that fellow. He seems to wear the same garments every single day. Oh, look at that fellow. He wears a new garment every single day. But for the majority of people, we get on with life and we have to attend to things. Incidentally, if one pays attention to some of the greatest multi-billionaires of today, one notices something very interesting. You can take somebody like, for example, the CEO, the owner of Apple in the old days, Steve Jobs. People take a look at the way that he used to dress for meetings and so on and so forth. He always used to wear the same garments. I think it was a pair of denims and a black shirt, if I'm not mistaken. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But the point is, wherever he went, he wore the same garments. If you take a look at some of the other billionaires, you'll notice also very often they wear the same garments. Now, it doesn't mean to say it's the same garments, but they just have the same standard thing. When they wake up in the morning, they put it straight on, they get straight to work. Because what's important? Work is important. I need to get to work and attend to matters. If I need to spend hours thinking about what I'm going to wear, it will detract me from the task at hand, which is ultimately to be at work, achieving a goal, making money, being successful, etc. Well, in this world, ultimate success is the spiritual goal. When I engage myself in the burden of physical activities that keep me busy all the time, I will have less time to attend to the things that are important to me so that I grow as a human being and I develop into a great person. The more time I spend engaged in physical activities, and especially unnecessary physical activities, the less time I will have to engage in spiritual activities, to grow, to become closer to Hashem, to become a greater human being. And perhaps that I can even do more acts of kindness to others, because instead of spending my time in the walk-in wardrobe, looking in the mirror for an hour to see how I look, I can go out and take the excess money that I have, find people who need it, and give that money to them in that time period, achieving so much more with my life, achieving so much more in the world than I would have staring at myself in the mirror, choosing which garment looked best on me on that particular day. Let's read just one or two more things. And the sages, may they be peace upon them, when they saw this, Amru, they said, a teaching in Pirkei Avot, a famous teaching in Perek Daled, chapter 4, Heve mema'et be'esek va'asuk b'torah. You should diminish in business in general, and instead occupy yourself in the study of Torah. The Chachamim tell us a secret. Now hold on a second. Isn't this exactly where we started off the Mesillat Yesharim? The Mesillat Yesharim said the whole idea is for a person to know what his goal is in life. And he needs to know that the goal is going to be ultimately the fulfillment of mitzvahs and improving ourselves and so on and so forth. And how are we going to get to that goal? Through the study of Torah. Because Torah, said Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair at the beginning, quoted at the beginning of Mesillat Yesharim, Torah brings one to Zehirut. Once I study Torah and I learn what is necessary of me, I then learn what it is that I must refrain from. Do less involvement in business, and instead study Torah. Because behold, ha'esek mukrachu, business out of necessity is something, le'adam, for a person, le'tzorech panasato, for the sake of his panasa. Everybody in the world, nobody's exempt, except for those who acquire large inheritances, and even those who acquire large inheritances, unless they have lost the value of life, they too will engage in some sort of panasa, some sort of activity in their lives to keep themselves busy, to make money, to increase, and to do all the activities that they want to. We see that multi-billionaires, they don't stop when they reach 1 billion or 2 billion. They don't stop when they reach 100 billion. They carry on. They're going for 200 billion and 300 billion. Everybody in the world is occupied in an action of panasa in some way or another. However, riboy ha'esek, once a person becomes so involved in business that there is an increase and an overabundance in it, eino mukhrach, it is not necessary, sheyihyeh kol kach gadol, to be on such a degree, ad shelo yaniach lo makom el avodato, that as a result of the work that he does, it will not leave for him any place to do his service to God. If a person becomes so involved, he's a workaholic, he has lost it. How many people do we know who actually eventually they end up going to see psychologists because they become so involved in their work that they cannot get themselves out of work? They have to wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, start engaging in work. They get home late at night, 11 o'clock at night, 12 o'clock at night. They can't stop themselves from working. It becomes almost a disease. If a person cannot stop himself from working, that too is a dangerous thing. So the Ramchal says to us, nevertheless, a person should never let himself get to a level whereby, although we need to work for Parnasa, we do not need to work in such a capacity that we work so hard we have no time for Torah study. Alkein, therefore, nitztaveinu likvua itim laTorah. We are commanded to set aside times for Torah study, which means to say this is a great mitzvah. We have to all engage in it. Setting a time for Torah study means every Monday at such and such a time, I will be studying Torah by myself, with a chavrusa, with a teacher. We will be doing so at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Next week, when 3 o'clock in the afternoon comes, it's Monday, we will be meeting again. We will not be meeting at 3:05. We will not be meeting at 2:50. But at 3 o'clock, we will be meeting. We will be studying until 4 o'clock, not until 3:50. Not necessarily until 4:10 if I've set my time up correctly, but we'll be studying. And what will be when the phone rings and they tell me I have to get to the business now at 3 o'clock Monday afternoon, they want me there? No, I'm sorry. This now is my time for Torah study. It has to be koveya itim laTorah. I'm fixing a time for my Torah study. Nothing comes between this moment and what I have to do for my Torah study next to the work that I have to do. Work is one thing, but it has its time and its place. Torah has its time and its place. And my duty is to make sure that I put in enough Torah study each week to help me grow correctly. My duty is not to become so involved in my work that it detracts and takes me away from the opportunity to study Torah. The Ramchal is about to lead us on a path. He's about to tell us there are certain things that take us away from our duty. And he's telling us ultimately that our duty is to focus on our Torah study, whatever we can do, if it's 5 hours a day or 2 hours a day or half an hour a day, but put in the time, because it is going to be through that we're ultimately going to reach our goal of cleaving to God, of reaching our goal of where we have to be as human beings in this world towards God in the next world, and of course in becoming greater people in this world itself, to ourselves and to others and to all who we come into contact with. We're going to stop here. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm Eliyahu Sher from Chesed Ve'emet. My site www.lovingkindness.co. I hope you've enjoyed the shiur, got something out of it, even one thing. It would be worthwhile. If you have, please let me know. Make a comment below. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Share the video with family and friends. Let them know about these shiurim. I need new subscribers. Let them join in and click on the subscribe button and become a member of my channel, a member of my website too. Please come through and see what I'm doing over there and what we're doing all together as an organization, Chesed Ve'emet. And of course, if you wish to be in touch about any subject in Torah, mitzvahs, life and growth, please feel free to send me an email via my site. I'd be delighted to be in touch with you. That's what I enjoy doing. Don't forget, if you'd like to learn to become a sofer, I give lessons in Sofrut, and I'm also a teacher to young men and those who wish to revise in the laws of family purity. And of course, my wife is involved in teaching the ladies. So if you'd like to learn the laws of family purity and prepare for a healthy and a beautiful marriage that should last 70 and 80 and 90 years without any problems, then please do be in touch and we'll learn these laws together. Thanks a lot for joining me. I wish you everything of the best. I look forward to another shiur in the near future. Shalom, shalom. Bye-bye.